Let's get somebody sensible on the show for a change. Steve Lillywhite, CBE, is here. Record producer extraordinaire, of course. Grammy award-winning, multi-Grammy award-winning, I should say. Producer of bands like U2, Talking Heads, The Rolling Stones. Steve, a very good... well, it's probably evening for you, is it?
It is evening for me, Mike, yes.
Well,
yes.
Welcome to the show. I can hear you very well, and I can see you, and everything looks good. I haven't talked to you for a very long time, which is remiss of me. I'm terribly sorry, but I hope all is well.
All is great. Living in Bali, building my new villa, and life is great. Yes,
yeah,
thank you so much.
Brilliant. Now, let's kick off with this war between the two titans of Pink Floyd, which is an extraordinary thing. People who are Pink Floyd fans say Roger Waters and David Gilmour have been at each other for quite a long time, but this most recent one is built around a sort of re-recording of Dark Side of the Moon, one of the most iconic albums of all time, right?
Yeah, well, the little bit of backstory is that there was a lot of rumours about a year ago that Pink Floyd were trying to do a deal for their back catalogue,
right?
To sell the futures. You know, like this,
like so many people have done, yeah.
Like so many people have done, and I think it all started to go sour when they were talking about the money aspect of it, and I think Roger Waters re-recording Dark Side of the Moon might be a little bit of a sort of, a thing against Dave Gilmour. Yeah. Now, I've done a bit of research into this, and I have to say, I'm not sure if it's going to be very good.
No.
Because, I've read one person who's heard it who said that, the song Money, Money, fantastic. It's got this wonderful technology of where they use a cash register as the rhythm of it.
Yes.
They said he's turned it into a country song. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be so good. It's
yeah, and he's meant to have. I'm hearing he's put sort of poetry over some parts of it as well. But he's also he's been
not a singer.
No, he's been quoted as well, and he says he was misquoted in a piece in the New Statesman because he basically apparently said that he wanted to remove what he described as David Gilmour's horrible guitar solos. But it turns out, he says that's not true, and he says, I love all of David's guitar solos, both of them. It turns out he's only got 2 in the whole album. So, I mean, there's obviously some very ill feeling going on. He also gave an interview, I think, to a German newspaper in which he was kind of bigging up Putin and saying that Ukraine was a dangerous place, and it was, he was kind of being a bit of a Putin apologist. So Gilmour's wife, Polly Sampson, who's a writer, accused him on Twitter of being anti-Semitic. I mean, it's all very public.
Yes, it's very public, and there's not really any right or wrong. I mean, what Gilmour did say, he was a little bit of an apologist for Putin, but he did say that Putin was the aggressor, but also war is bad. We shouldn't, make it
worse. Yeah,
it's like there's. He was saying that we are not without our blame in the West. Yes. Now, I personally don't believe that. I think it's quite obvious that Putin went in and unless there's stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it's a tricky area, it would seem. But people say to me, I don't know if you know Roger Waters. I mean, but bizarrely, a friend of mine used to be his manager very briefly. I saw him at Madison Square Garden, and this guy that I knew had been the road manager for Rolling Stones, and he basically said, why don't you come backstage and meet Roger, So, of course, it was the usual slightly embarrassing standing in a corridor. Roger Waters came running past, and my mate went, Roger, this is Mike Grammy. He went, yeah, hi. He just kept going, as you would expect him to, right?
I have a great story.
Go on.
It's just that the Pink Floyd were playing at Madison Square Garden, and I was a guest of EMI Records, and I was late for my to get to my chair, so we had to go underneath the stage to get to our seats. Right. As we were doing that, all of the band were on stage, and Dave Gilmour was waiting to go up as like the last person to go up. Just at the same time as I was walking past him, he went, Steve, how's it going? How's it? Oh, good to see you. And like the whole crowd were cheering, and he was like making time for me because I've known him for many years.
Okay.
And the guy I was with was like, oh my God, I got so many brownie points because Dave Gilmour basically stopped going on stage to come and talk to me.
Well, listen, that's a much better story than my one.
He's a lover.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Well, of course, the other thing is that the copyright issue is a problem as well, because apparently Roger Waters says that he's not sure if he can even put this new version of Dark Side of the Moon out. But to me, it's a bit like the news that we heard the other week that they're going to remake some more Fawlty Towers episodes. You know, just leave it alone. It was great. Just don't try and improve on it, because you can't.
Well, the thing about Fawlty Towers is that if John Cleese thinks he has something to say, and I think he probably does, you know, he's been quite hurt recently, and you know, I just hope it's good, you know, because we all love Fawlty Towers, and I would love to see a modern version of Basil Fawlty being that wonderful humour that we're now not allowed to like.
But that's what people are worried about.
I find that is so sad. I feel very, very precious of the British ability to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we go that same way as the Americans, I think it's going to be very sad. You know, so I hold it very dear to me, the idea of our comedy.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've lived in America as I have, and one of the things that you miss is the British sense of humour, and you have to sort of come back to Britain every now and again just to remind yourself of it, because, I mean, we used to hang out with quite a lot of other British people, obviously, as you do, and part of the reason for that was that there was only a few Americans who actually got the humour, and then they would be friends of ours, but it's an incredibly serious country that takes itself very seriously.
It does, and it's look, I believe in, you know, I consider myself quite a liberal person, but I think some of this stuff, I mean, I have children over there who, you know, and it even goes back to the Pogue song, the Fairy Tale of New York, you know, how and the Roald Dahl thing.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure you've gone and, you know, I don't want to make a big thing of it, but I'm not sure if it is mad, isn't it?
Although, do you know, though, the Pogues actually supported the BBC in banning their own song. That's how mad the world has become. And I was kind of having a go at the BBC, and the Pogues started having a go at me on social media for defending them. I'm going, hang on a minute. I'm saying keep the song.
I know.
You know, you scumbag, you maggot, and all the rest of it. Why not? And the Pogues then blocked me for actually defending them. It's very odd.
Oh, dear. I mean, there was one point when the BBC, with that song, they actually, Radio 2 was playing the original version, and Radio 1 was playing the censored version, which is a complete reversal of how I remember Radio 1 and Radio 2.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly that.